Hi everyone, this is Annie Paulus, Realtor with Keller Williams St. Pete. And today's video is about the pros and cons of moving to St. Pete Beach. Are you considering making a move to St. Pete Beach, Florida? Well then, this video is for you because today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of living in St. Pete Beach, Florida, not just from the point of view of a realtor, but as a resident of St. Pete Beach myself. If you have any questions about the Tampa Bay real estate or you'd just like to know what's going on, feel free to connect with me directly at the number or email below. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and stay till the very end, as I'm going to drop a few hidden gems that I think will be really beneficial for you to know if you're considering visiting or relocating to St. Pete Beach area. So make sure to stay till the very end. So let's look at the pros first. Number one, no state income taxes and lower property taxes. If you are new to the area or considering making that move, and I have got clients moving in from all over the country right now. There is people from New York, Michigan, Ohio, Philadelphia, where your income taxes are a considerable portion of the taxes that you pay every year. So that is a considerable savings when you're making that move to Florida. So I guess that's not just a pro for moving to St. Pete Beach, but when you move to Florida in general. And lower property taxes compared to some other places also means you can afford more home. In all honesty, taxes and the weather were the main factors why me and my husband decided to move to Florida from Atlanta, Georgia. And I know for sure that those are the primary reasons for most people moving here as well. And that brings me to number two, and that's the weather. Like I mentioned, that was one of the main reasons what brought us here. Now, I know some people complain about how hot and humid it is, but we Floridians sure do love our daily dose of sunshine. It's called the Sunshine State for a reason, and St. Petersburg is called Sunshine City for a reason. Believe me, you will count your blessings when you come to St. Pete Beach, especially during the winters. The average temperatures from November through April are usually around the low 70s, with maybe 1 or 2 weeks when the temperature falls to the low 50s. There is always a nice breeze because you are close to the water, and if you're coming from an area that doesn't have a whole bunch of sunshine, I promise you it's going to help you change your mood and feel good. I guess that's probably the reason why people here are so much more nicer than elsewhere. Number three, home value. Typically, where you see good school districts, home values tend to stay higher longer. So that's a pro for homeowners in St. Pete Beach, since most of the schools in St. Pete Beach are rated pretty high, A plus rating. There are very few HOAs unless you are in a condo, and the homes have a ton of character. You're going to find a great mix of old world Florida bungalows that were built in the early 1900s, and then you're also going to find some newer construction properties that people have either built by developing a plot of land or by tearing down the old structure and building a new one. So you get this really cool vibe of both old and new Florida, which is very nice. And there is housing for everyone, for families with young kids as well as lots of 55 plus communities. Number four, the beautiful white sand beaches. It's called St. Pete Beach for a reason, and of course, St. Pete Beach is the highlight here. That's the public beach that everybody knows about, but there are a few other beaches that you should probably know about too. There is Upham Beach, there is Sunset Beach, Pasagrille Beach. There's also a dog beach at Pasagrille, which is a great piece of information to have because there aren't very many dog beaches in St. Pete Beach, and dogs are not allowed at public beaches. You have to have a private beach in order to be able to do that. Number five is activities. There are so many outdoor activities to take advantage of. You can go paddleboarding, canoeing, kayaking, parasailing, boating, fishing. The list goes on. And you can do all these activities pretty much year round. Number six is the laid back casual lifestyle. And when it comes to living in St. Pete Beach, everyone is laid back. That is the vibe that you're going to feel. And that's what you're going to see. Everyone is roaming around in shorts, flip flops, tank tops. There's not a whole lot of formal in the St. Pete Beach area, unless you're going to one of the more upscale restaurants, like Spinner's Rooftop Grill, which is a revolving rooftop restaurant that gives a 360-degree view of the St. Pete Beach. Number seven, the school system. As I mentioned before, most of the schools in St. Pete Beach are rated pretty high, A+ rating. If you look at sites like niche.com, you will find that they have extremely good ratings. If schools are important for you, then that's something to keep in mind. Of course, you should do your own research, but in general, whether it's a public school, a private school, or a charter school, which are all offered in St. Pete Beach, all of these schools tend to rank on the high side. Number 8, arts and culture. There's always something to do down here and some kind of art festival or event on the beach. There are boat races, golf cart parades, during major holidays especially, open air movie nights at the St. Pete Beach Community Center, Sugar and Sand Festival, just to name a few. So now that we have discussed the pros, let's take a look at the cons. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows here. Like any other place, St. Pete Beach has some cons too. Number 1, the hurricane season. Personally, I have been here since 2015 and I saw the Irma, and I feel like it's really not all that bad like in some other parts of Florida, but it is still something to keep in mind. In fact, flood insurance and hurricane insurance are often required here in St. Pete Beach. For specific information, you can always check out stpetebeach.org. Number 2 con is going to be the traffic. Now, when you come to St. Pete Beach, the roads are a little bit narrow. So the traffic tends to move slowly, especially during the weekends, when everyone is headed to the beach, and finding beach parking can be a real challenge unless you head early. For us personally, because the traffic in Atlanta that we experienced was so much worse, that it didn't make a big difference for us at all. So I guess that is a relative experience. Number 3, the tourists. St. Pete Beach is a vacation destination for thousands of people, and that means even more traffic and long waiting lines at restaurants during peak seasons. That could be an annoyance for residents of St. Pete Beach, who often complain about how the place has become very crowded and touristy over the years. Now, I'm from New Delhi, India, and if you have ever been there, you know how crowded it is. So for me, crowd here has never been a problem. So if you are like me and don't have an aversion to crowds, you will like it here. It's very lively during the peak season, in my opinion. Number 4, cost of owning and renting. Needless to say, renting or buying a house in St. Pete Beach is not cheap, and it has become more expensive over the years. Number 5, maintenance. There's a lot of wind and weather, and anything metal that you keep outdoors will rust and deteriorate eventually due to the weather. It also accelerates the process of your exterior paint and roof breaking down a little bit sooner, and that leads to higher maintenance costs over a period of time. Number 6, the weather. I know, I just use the weather as a pro, but let's face it, not everyone likes the hot weather, and the summers can be pretty brutal, especially if you step outside your home during the daytime. Number 7, red tide. Now, this doesn't happen every year, but the red tide does get pretty bad sometimes. We moved here since 2015, and since then I have only experienced it twice. The red tide happens when a certain type of algae blooms in the warm water that we tend to have here, along with fertilizers that get into the ocean water from various sources. And the algae feeds on this and blooms, thereby reducing the oxygen content in the water and killing sea life. It smells pretty bad when the dead fish starts rotting. Of course, the county does a great job of getting it cleaned every day. Some people experience irritation in the chest, coughing, or difficulty breathing while walking on the beach during the red tide. On the good side, it's important to keep in mind though that this doesn't happen every year, and it is noticeable only when the red tide is at its peak. Otherwise, it is not an issue. Number 8 is jobs. St. Pete Beach is a resort town, and there aren't very many job opportunities here. A lot of the time, people have to drive to their jobs, usually to Tampa. There are a lot of business owners living in the area, and there are some service jobs or contracting opportunities available. St. Pete Beach is set up to be a lifestyle area and not a metropolitan area. Just something to keep in mind. Now, here are the hidden and maybe not so hidden gems that I promised I will share with you in the beginning of my video. The first is Don Cesar Hotel. This is an absolutely unique and stunning pink hotel that you can never miss. It is a highly rated hotel with a private beach behind it. In fact, you could even get a gym membership here if you move to the area, although that can be pretty pricey. Or visit their spa and use their pool area for the day for a certain fee. They also have a very nice restaurant here, perfect for a romantic date night. Number two is Shell Key Preserve. There are a few keys at the southern tip that are protected by wildlife protection agencies, and Shell Key is one of them. If you enjoy bird watching, this could be a great place to do that, as the entire preserve is a sanctuary for nesting, migratory, and wintering birds, as well as a popular fishing and boating area. You can take the Shell Key shuttle that leaves from Passagarel to go there. And lastly, the Fort de Soto Park. You can go here for fishing, paddleboarding, canoeing, camping, biking, or hiking. If you plan on camping here, then make sure to book your camping spot months in advance, as it tends to get filled really quickly. And you can do that online. We love camping here during the winters for a day or two. Fort de Soto also has a great dog beach, and that's great for dog owners. So those were my list of pros and cons for moving to St. Pete Beach, Florida. If you are thinking of moving here and need help to find your dream house, you know where to reach me. Remember to subscribe to my channel and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.